Only one race into the 2021 season, and already the F1 community has had the first major controversy of the year, the ambiguity of the Turn 4 track limits at Bahrain. In this video, I'll be looking at what the sporting regulations, the drivers, and the FIA themselves have to say about this controversial corner. According to the 2021 sporting regulations issued by the FIA at the start of the year, drivers must make every reasonable effort to use the track at all times, and must not deliberately leave the track without justifiable reason. Any white lines defining the track edges are considered to be part of the track, but the curbs are not. It then goes on to say that should a car leave the track, the driver may rejoin, however this may only be done when it is safe to do so and without gaining any lasting advantage. At the absolute discretion of the race director, a driver may be given the opportunity to give back the whole of any advantage he gained by leaving the track. Now, let's look at these regulations in the context of Max Verstappen's overtaking move on Lewis Hamilton on lap 53 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. This is where Verstappen went wrong. All four wheels are clearly off the track as they are outside the track-defining white lines, and while he is allowed to rejoin, as he does here, he rejoins in front of Lewis. This gives him, in the eyes of the FIA, a lasting advantage as a result of him leaving the track, and therefore he must give back the position. While this may seem like a fairly clear-cut and obvious decision, it has been made much more controversial as a result of the FIA's attitude towards Turn 4 track limit infringements throughout the weekend and earlier in the race. During free practice and qualifying, the drivers were told by race control that a track limit infringement at Turn 4 of this nature would be met with a lap time deletion. This was consistently enforced by the FIA and therefore resulted in only a few deletions and much fewer drivers running wide at this corner. The reason given by the FIA for deterring any track limit violations, particularly at this turn, was because a driver would have to brake harshly in order to facilitate the sharper turn without going wide, therefore meaning that by running slightly wider, drivers could carry more speed throughout the turn, giving them a speed advantage. However, unlike in practice and qualifying, drivers were told that Turn 4 track limits would not be enforced during the race. During the early laps, this led to multiple drivers, but most notably Lewis Hamilton, repeatedly running wide at this corner, resulting in a disgruntled Max Verstappen asking his team, "How is that legal?" before subsequently being told to start doing it as well in order to avoid losing time to his rival. Later, however, Hamilton was told by his race engineer to stop running wide at the corner or risk a penalty. This change in rules was undoubtedly quite confusing for the drivers as it required them to adapt their driving mid-race, leading to Lewis calling it very confusing. The real controversy regarding the track limits came very late in the race, however, as on lap 53, Verstappen overtook Lewis for the lead of the race at Turn 4, venturing off circuit to achieve this. A few turns later on the back straight, he was forced to give back the position as he was deemed to have gained an unfair advantage that enabled him to take the race lead. This call to make Max give back the position, which ultimately meant he lost the race win, has divided opinion among the F1 community, and while it was within the sporting regulations, many argue that it may not have been made clear enough to the drivers before or during the race. Even Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff said, "I think that the learning of this needs to be simple so everyone can understand it and they don't need to remind themselves of what is actually allowed and what's not." That's the end of the video. What do you think? Should Max have let Lewis past? What should be done to prevent this in the future? And what are your hopes for the coming season? Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe.